Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. BTS announced a new collab with Blanco. So since their break has started, ARMY has not had one moment of peace. The last we saw of Blanco, he had created a remix of 3 BTS songs for the My BTS Tracks promotion, if you remember that. Now it's pretty obvious that that wasn't the only thing he worked on, and it was, not that much. It was just like a minute of music there, so people thought, okay, well, is that it? Well, it's not it. So now they've announced what they were working on, and I guess Hybe decided that, let's use Blanco for this My BTS Tracks thing too. I mean, why not? He's already working on something with us. So we got this announcement on July 20th, and I guess Blanco loves to be on TikTok or Twitter or whatever and post like humorous videos. And he first, I think this one came first. I'm not sure. If I saw them in the right order, but there was a video with Blanco, and then he was kind of fake calling Bang PD and Scooter Braun, and he said, hey, you know what, guys? Ever since I attended the BTS concert, the one that he went to at Las Vegas, he can't stop thinking about it, and he really wants to join the band as the 8th member. And so Scooter's like, well, they're already a band, so I don't think they need another member. And then Bang PD is like, why don't I just give you their number and you can ask them? So I thought that was funny that they involved Bang PD in this promotion with his comedic skills. So then Blanco calls up BTS in the next video, and he's like, hey, can I join the band? And then they're like, no. And then Jimin is like, but we can work together on a song. And then Blanco's like, okay, let's make the best song in the world. So this is how they decided to announce this collaboration. And then a few hours later, Blanco then posted a whole schedule of this song, like when is the trailer gonna come out, when is the cover art, and then the video, and all this other stuff. So like they're kind of releasing it like a K-pop song now. I don't know if like the West really does that, but they just like it comes out on a day usually if there's some collab, and there's collabs happening all the time. So the song is called Bad Decisions. And we find out that it's Blanco and 4 members of BTS, looks like the vocal line, and Snoop Dogg. So then that answers that question of like, what was the thing they were working on with Snoop Dogg? And so this is that, and looking forward to hearing what this is going to be like, because so you've got the vocal line, they're going to do whatever singing parts, and I'm assuming Snoop Dogg will have like a verse or two. So it's going to have like a good mix there, and Blanco doing, the producing, I guess, of it. That's going to be his contribution. And they're doing some kind of unique promotion is what they said. They're going to have some different things than what we typically see. So I don't know what that means, but I did just see Blanco posted another video just a few hours ago, and it's he put it on TikTok, and it says, when the rest of the world is just living life, but you have a song coming out with BTS and Snoop Dogg soon. And it shows him and Snoop Dogg in a convertible, like with the top down. Looks like they're filming a video. So I don't know if they're filming this all together with BTS, or they're filming their part and it'll be kind of separate, like My Universe. But looks like they're all going to be in this video. It's not going to be, animated or anything like actors in it. I only mention that because if you guys remember Wasted on Me, I feel like that's one of the great BTS collabs that they did with Steve Aoki, but then the only bad part of it is it has all those really funny, like, Asian actors that we all like, but then BTS is not in the video, so that's like the only downside. Is like, well, that's the trade-off. If you want to have these like actors in it, then they are replacing BTS in that. But this Benny Blanco video, actually we don't see BTS, so I guess that doesn't really confirm that they'll be in it. So yeah, just thinking out loud here, but for sure Benny Blanco and Snoop Dogg are filming something already. So the song comes out on August 5th, and it'll be on Benny Blanco's YouTube channel. So looking forward to that, and we'll see what this MV looks like. On July 15th, J-Hope released his solo album Jack in the Box. I think so far it's been a huge success in terms of musical quality and critical reception. It seems like his peers in the Korean hip-hop community, they all seem to love it. I remember seeing last week, like, everybody who's like a big artist in Korea seems to be posting stories about Jack in the Box and that they are congratulating J-Hope. So I think that's really nice to see people supporting him, and the fans seem to love it. I think critics as well. I haven't read too many reviews, but I think what I've seen overall seems pretty positive about that. And so I think it's also doing well in the charts. I keep seeing, Jack in the Box is #1 for streaming for, this category, or for Korean artist, or for debut song, or, things like that, whatever the metrics are that people are looking at. So that seems to be overall very positive response for J-Hope's solo album, and especially with this being the beginning of chapter 2 and all of the solo albums we're going to start seeing, I think J-Hope has started everything off really strong. We know he's the first to have a solo album released, and I think I heard that, I saw in one of the interviews, J-Hope was saying, like, okay, how did you guys determine the order of who's releasing it? And so I think it's not that he was like, I need to go first, or I need to, I'm claiming this spot or anything. It's just he just so happened to have the most ready to go, I think. And so it's because he's always working on his music, probably similar situation with Suga. It's like he's always got a couple of things he's tinkering with. And so that's why Jack in the Box came out first. And it seemed like J-Hope has really thought through all of the themes and concepts of this. From the interviews I watched, he just had like a vision for everything. Like, here's what I want to do in the MV, and here's what what kind of a color palette we want to use, and here's what we want for the cover art. So he seems to have a very defined vision of what he wanted this album to be. So I think that's really impressive. And so his album, it's doing well so far. I really like it. But before I get into all that about the songs, let's talk about the Jack in the Box pre-release party. So this took place the night before Jack in the Box was released. We heard, and by we I mean ARMY, the rest of us, regular people outside of the inner circle of BTS, we heard there was a pre-release party. So that's something new, and I wasn't sure what that meant exactly, a pre-release party. I mean, does that mean it's something that would be, like a V Live, something we can see, or is it just a party that is going to take place? And it was the latter, so it sounded like it was like a listening party / pre-release party. So, like I said, what we're used to is for the BTS album releases. They normally are on V Live for like a countdown show on YouTube or V Live, and that's something where they kind of talk about the album, and they're speaking to fans in that kind of a broadcast or gathering. So that would be the purpose of that, a countdown show. But a pre-release party is more like, let's get together with some people and listen to the tracks. This will be the first time a lot of people are hearing it, and J-Hope and the others involved in the production of it can thank everybody who was involved. They can just like let loose and have a good time now that they know the album is out. So I think that's more the purpose, is just like to have fun. And according to an interview J-Hope did with Rolling Stone, he says, when something comes out, I like to listen to it consistently and gather feedback. And with this album, I've asked many people for feedback. There's lots of things I start to realize from getting the feedback. It says, I'm doing a listening party with artists and industry people to enjoy the music together. One of the reasons for this is to show them, J-Hope is doing this type of music. What do you think of it? To get that feedback and take it in and to improve. And so I think that's really different than what we're used to hearing from Western artists, or just from any artist, I guess. The fact that J-Hope wants to hear what people think about the music and even, take it seriously and maybe consider ideas for the future and see what people think. I mean, although I think this kind of a party, I don't see anybody saying like, hey, J-Hope, you know what? This album's terrible and I don't like it. So, I mean, no one's going to say that. I mean, not at a party that you're invited to, and these are all people that know J-Hope and BTS and everybody, and they're not going to like say anything like mean. But I see what he's saying. He definitely wants this to be not just like a celebration, but to hear what people say and what is their reaction to seeing this new side of J-Hope. So it sounds like that was kind of the purpose of this party. He, of course, has stated in many interviews that he is trying to show a different side of himself, and maybe that's a darker side, maybe not, but it's definitely a different sound that we're used to hearing and a different image a little bit. So I think he knew that was going to be a change for people. We're used to seeing, Hope World, Super Happy, J-Hope, Outro Ego, positive, happy, always has hope. And I think that's all still true. It's not like that guy went away, but I think, J-Hope is just like other artists. Like, you want to express different thoughts that aren't all 100% positive, and maybe you want to use some different kind of sounds, because maybe he felt like, being within BTS, you gotta work with the group, and what is the group sound, and maybe you wanted to try something a little bit different, and you have some different influences. So I think he was expecting, people would notice like how different this is from what we're used to from him. And so but this party, though, I mean, I don't know how much time they spent with the listening part of it, because I didn't see very much footage of that, but I saw some, videos and pictures of this party. The people that were there, they were, sharing lots of Instagram stories, and there's footage there, video that they took at the party. And I believe W Korea was there in some kind of press capacity, because they got a lot of like really nice professional photos of everything, and I saw some of that, and kind of surprised they didn't have dispatch there, but maybe I'm not surprised, because it's like, okay, maybe we want to reach out to like one of the more respected magazines this time for this kind of coverage. Like, you don't necessarily want to invite like TMZ to your party for the coverage. You want like a respected magazine. So I kind of see why they went in that direction, but I'm just used to Korea like always using dispatch for stuff. But maybe this time it was like, let's go like the more fashion route, Because I think W is kind of known for fashion, if I'm thinking of the right magazine. So anyway, this party, and there's footage of it all over, social media. It looked like so much fun. And yeah, I don't know how much time they spent listening to Jack in the Box. I didn't really see footage of that, but people said, they heard the song. So I'm sure it happened. Oh, you know what? Maybe it was like a situation where like the party was going on, but then there was also like headphones and stuff where you could listen to the album separate, like off to the side or something. So I don't know exactly how it worked. We didn't see like 100% of what was going on there, but basically this party took place on the 19th floor of Hybe building, and it looked really cool. They had it set up with, it's a very like open space, and it has like an area that's more elevated, so that's kind of the stage area, and then long rows of steps around it, which is kind of like the lower down area. It's like more the dance floor where the audience would be standing around. And J-Hope got up on the stage at one point, thanked people for being there, and they had a DJ, and it just seemed like a really fun party, like a Vegas party, but then not a Vegas party where it has like all these random people there. It's like if you rented out a really nice nightclub and only your friends came, that's what it looked like. It looked like a very nice setup. So I don't know, like it gave us all FOMO. Like Army was like, oh my God, this party looks really fun. And it looked like it was very exclusive. Like it wasn't like tons of people were there. I mean, there was enough that, and it's a very big space too, but they only invited so many people, and it seemed to be, like Hybe producers, Bang PD was there, all of BTS was there, except for Suga, who apparently had a fever that day, so decided to be safe and not go to the party, which is a shame because he missed out. It looked like a pretty lit party. So everybody was there in BTS, minus Suga and Bang PD, and a lot of Korean celebrities. There's actresses there. I'm not familiar with them, so I don't know exactly which people, but I did see Zico was there, Jessie, Hyuna, and Dawn. So I guess that makes sense. P Nation people would be representing, since Suga worked closely with Psy, so I'm sure everybody there is like friendly with that label. These friends, the Wooga squad, they were all there, and Highs was there. She's a soloist, I believe, and some Korean rappers or hip hop people whose names I don't really know, as well as Dogg and Tiger JK. So a lot of celebrities were there, and they were all having a great time, it looked like. And I do think it was pretty smart to have this in the Hybe building, just in general, because not only is that like such a nice space, and you don't have to pay thousands of dollars to rent it, because it's like you already got this building, you might as well use it for the party. And also, like, you can control the security, so Hybe doesn't have to worry about like any random people walking in, or someone like pretending like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be here. Like when V was at the Celine fashion show, and like those after parties, like they had zero control over that. Some like random sassings like snuck in and were just like, yeah, we're supposed to be at this party, and somehow they were able to get a picture with V. So like that situation was not going to happen here, since it was taking place at Hybe. So I thought that was also a smart idea for that reason. The good security. So they had a DJ there, and then they were playing music. Some of the songs I heard them playing, they played Butter. At one point, Jungkook and J-Hope, busted out the 3J dance, the dance break. So that was pretty cool. They were playing some like Beyonce's new song, and Silk Sonic, and Prince music, and Janet Jackson. they had even set up a Jack in the Box photo booth, so you could go into the photo booth and take a picture, very similar to how J-Hope is in that one, promo shot of in the checkered room. So I think that was a really, really fun idea that they had. And you could see in the videos that were released, you can see a lot of like V on the dance floor, and Jungkook was having a good time, and RM as well. And Jin was there, but I guess nobody was able to find him in photos. And then later on, he posted to, I think, Weverse and was like, "Hey everyone, I was at the party. I was just not in any of the photos because I was in the corner looking at webtoons." Oh my god, that's so funny because you think of Jin as being like having so much energy, but I could totally see him leaning a little more towards the introvert side because it feels like he's just the most comfortable when it's just BTS members. But the fact that there's like, so many people at this party, maybe he felt like kind of self-conscious and he couldn't just like be, out there on the dance floor in the middle. So I think that's not Jin. I think he's like kind of keeps to himself other than when he's with the members. So I thought that was very relatable. That would probably be me at the party. It's like, yeah, I'm having a good time, but I gotta be off to the side for a little bit. There's like a little too much going on. And, he's probably not trying to drink too much. I'm sure they still have like schedules to do. Although I did see one video where it looked like Jimin was like in the corner with like a champagne glass or something. I don't know. It was very blurry, but they definitely had drinks at this party. And, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying maybe Jin didn't feel like, oh, let me drink so I'll loosen up at this party. And he just decided to be like, I'll just chill in the corner. It's fine. So he was there. He took a photo booth picture and looked great. He was wearing like some very cutting edge outfit that's probably not even out yet by Valentino, I think is what I saw on Twitter. So like he looked good. So that's the important part. So yeah, they were all there. Yeah, so I don't know why just this party was just like so fascinating to me, but maybe it's because you don't really see BTS just let loose and have fun in a like non-structured way too much. Normally it's just something that they're filming for content, and so I guess we just don't normally see footage of them being social and just it's something that's not for content really. So I think that felt like a little window into them as celebrities, I guess, because like I said, I don't think they've done a party like this before, and I'm really curious like where they got the idea from. I think that was nice to see a different side of them, and I'm glad that they had a good time because I saw later J-Hope posted lots of pictures from it, and he was like, "Oh, that was a great night." So I think glad to see he is having a good time with all this and isn't stressed out, with a music being released. So definitely they all had a great time at that party. So as far as Jack in the Box being released on July 15th, from listening to the album, I got a lot of 90s vibes. It's clear that he's influenced by that era of hip hop, and I don't know if people remember, but the 90s had a lot of rock and rap in the same, like a fusion, like bands that did both. And then that was kind of the first time that started happening. And so that's what more reminded me of bands that had a lot of rap and rock influence. Like they had the guitars and they had like beats like that, but also a lot of rapping. So I think maybe that's where J-Hope got some influence from. Like with More, it already, like the beginning of it was reminding me of Hip Hop Hooray by Naughty by Nature. Just the way 90s beats are. And I know that's very in right now. It's hard to define. The two title tracks are More and Arson, and I think that doesn't happen too often where there's two title tracks, but I wonder if he felt like he couldn't choose between them, or just he felt like these two represented his vision the best as far as the sound and the message. And I think he said in one of these interviews that More was chosen as the title track. So that makes it sound like Hybe kind of said, okay, More is the title track or one of them. And then he chose Arson because he felt like that had the message that he was trying to get across with this album. And with title tracks, a lot of times, like whatever you're trying to say overall, it might be said in that track, that like it's said the best. And so I think that's what his reason was for choosing Arson, because as far as like what's in the lyrics. And I think More is probably the most different song from his style before, so I think maybe that's why the producers went with that. And I think More had a lot of that, 90s rock band influence, that alternative music influence. So I could see why More was chosen. I can also see why Arson was chosen. So maybe it was just like, well, J-Hope had more input in adding Arson as the second title track. So that's pretty interesting that there's two. And I think that now in hindsight it makes a lot of sense that he was asked to perform at Lollapalooza, because his music definitely fits with what they've showcased traditionally. Like when Lollapalooza started, it was all about 90s grunge and alternative acts. And so I think this album in 2022 that J-Hope created fits in with the type of music at Lollapalooza. And it's pretty crazy that he's performing like on the next stage is like Green Day, which is like a very typical Lollapalooza type of band. And they do rock, they have like a rap element to it. So definitely J-Hope falls in line with what is the type of music for Lollapalooza. I know it didn't make sense in the beginning. It's like, wait, how come they call J-Hope? And then now I wonder, did Lollapalooza know he was releasing this kind of an album? Did they get some kind of a demo of it, or like an early copy of it, and they're like, oh well, we really like how this sounds and let's invite J-Hope. So yeah, now I'm wondering how that all happened, because we didn't know we didn't know this break was happening, and we didn't know who was going to have a solo album come out first. But then, Lollapalooza has to choose the acts pretty quickly, so I don't know how far back did they know J-Hope was releasing this kind of alternative style album. So yeah, maybe we'll find out at some point. But yeah, now it makes a lot more sense. Now that we've heard the whole album, why they asked J-Hope. Because it's like, if you didn't know about this album, it would be like, well, it's a little different, a little outside the box to invite a K-pop singer to this festival. So now it makes a lot more sense. I get it. So we got the track list on July 7th, and that gave us a little bit of a hint. And, now that we've listened to it, we know that, the intro, number one, the first track, is kind of a spoken part that talks about the mythology of Pandora's box and what happened when it was opened, and how all that was left in there was hope. And then I saw in an interview that J-Hope explained that that's when he was coming up with his name, his rap name, like he knew he wanted J in it, he wanted H-O to be in it. And so they were kind of like throwing around ideas, and then Bang PD brought up Pandora's box, and then they got from that J-Hope. And then J-Hope really liked that idea, because he's like, yeah, hope, that's a good thing to have in a name. And it has the J and the H-O like from my name that I wanted in there, so it's like that's a good, I'm gonna go with that. And I don't know why, I guess I never heard how he chose his name before. I just assumed like that was a nickname he had and just decided to use it for his rap name. But yeah, I guess it makes sense. Like you're also gonna throw around some ideas and try to come up with something that works. So he explained the whole Pandora's Box thing in this album, and out of all the tracks, I think my favorites are More and Equal Sign and Future. And with More, I think we're seeing J-Hope's interpretation of 90s alternative rock with his brand of rap infused into it. And with Equal Sign and Future, it's reminded me of conscience rap in the 90s. So if you remember groups like Arrested Development, and it was, or even Common, I don't really listen to him, but music like that, where it's about having rap with positive messages, and it's like celebrating people, but also having a theme about like bringing up injustice. And so that's why I think what he talks about a little in Equal Sign is like, why can't people be more open-minded and treat everybody the same and treat everybody with kindness? That's a kind of the theme that he's going with there. And if you remember the 90s, the most dominant rap was gangster rap, but then there was also this kind of like other genre of rap where it was just like, oh, it's just more positive, it's more like Afrocentric, and you'd have the colorful outfits from more that are more like Africa inspired. So you had that kind of a genre of rap. Not that J-Hope was like dressing like that or anything, but just the fact that Equal Sign and Future are more about like talking about the world and how everything is working. It's like a social commentary. And I think it used to be like, oh no, rap has to be about surviving the streets and the inner cities and the music that came from that. I'm sure we're all familiar with NWA and Ice Cube and Snoop Dogg and everybody from Biggie Smalls and Tupac. So that whole genre was like one side of rap. But I think there's this other subset of like positive rap that was out there, and these couple of songs from J-Hope bring that to mind for me. So I think they had I think conscience rap. It was kind of like early social justice type of themes, whereas now it's 2022, well, we know what that looks like. But back then it was like more subtle. It was like, this is how it is. And sometimes people get falsely accused and bad things happen to good people. So I think there was a lot there musically that was really interesting and very of the time. And I think the other thing that comes across in this album from J-Hope is very similar to Map of the Soul 7, when a lot of those songs are talking about themselves as artists. Like they're, questioning themselves, and it's like, how long can we keep going, or what type of message do I want to send? And, kind of what they were talking about in Black Swan, like they're really looking ahead to the future. And, I think in J-Hope's case, it's more like, if I'm not this super positive guy all the time, am I still J-Hope? Can I still have other messages? And am I able to grow from there? A lot of it is songs, a lot of the lyrics are talking about growth and doing some different things. And even when he has commentary about negative events happening in the world, it seems like underneath J-Hope still has that element of optimism. So I think that's something that's always going to be there in a J-Hope song. It's like optimism, like things can be better, things are going to improve, and people you can still believe in people. I think there was a one lyric there. It's like, yeah, one of the songs he says that a single belief dominates me. There are no bad people in the world. So it's like, wow, that is just classic J-Hope, trying to see the good in every person in the world. So I think even though his sound is very different than what we're used to, a lot of the messages are still hopeful and positive and what we expect to hear from a member of BTS. And I think I didn't know what I was expecting, but I thought maybe there'd be some like really like angry songs or like hardcore songs, like calling out the haters, and like some of the rap line songs that are like that, like Ugh. But there wasn't too much of that. It seemed to be more of a introspective kind of album. That was overall my impression of it, and I was very impressed. He expresses a lot of different thoughts here and talks about himself, about the world, about he has a very good perspective. And I think the motif of fire and arson and like burning things comes up several times in the lyrics, and I think that's a very good metaphor to use, because when things are burning, it's like we use that expression for so many different ideas. Like fire emoji means, oh, something's really good. Like that's something we use in our communication today. And of course, fire can be a bad thing. People's houses burning down, forest fires, that can be a very bad thing. But he also uses it as, it could be a positive thing. Like if there's after a fire, there's a period of renewal. Or he also uses it to express what BTS's career has been like, something that burned really bright and fast, and that's how he sees working with the others. Like their trajectory was like a fire, like it couldn't even be controlled. So I think just the way he's written these lyrics is like it's very clever. And I know like the rap line there, they're known for using like very clever wordplay, but I think J-Hope demonstrates some of that as well in this album. So like I said, I think my favorite tracks were More, Equal Sign, and Future. And he also had mentioned that he worked with Cause for the cover art, which you've seen by now. It has those like cartoon hands that are very colorful, that are like propping him up while he's wearing this like black and white checked outfit. And that was his idea for the design. And I just wanted to mention that when the More teaser photos came out, I said, you know what, I'm getting Cause vibes from this. And then like a couple days later, he said, yeah, I used Cause for the cover art. And I was like, well, there it is. See, I knew I recognized that element. And it wasn't even like an obvious thing. I was just like, I'm just getting that sense in this art direction. So yeah, feeling smug right now. And I'm just also impressed with J-Hope in all the interviews, just the way he talks about his album. He has like a lot to say, and I know it, like if I ever like wrote something, I would be like, you know what, I'm just burnt out. I don't know if I could even talk about this anymore. But he's like so full of anecdotes and explanations, and he can talk about every aspect of it, like what was the basis of each song, and all the design choices too. Like he was talking about, he wanted it to have very binary design, like that's why he's wearing a lot of black and white outfits, and to show the more it's this or that kind of thing. It's not, we're not going to show a lot of colors. It's going to be like good or bad, yes or no kind of a vibe. And so it shows the more artistic side. And so it's like, oh yeah, he really thought of everything. That's why he's got like the black and white checkered outfits and the just all white, all black outfits. He's trying to show just the stark contrast there. So I think J-Hope did a really great job. I give him a lot of kudos. And yeah, and he said even when it came out, he was thinking of things he could have done differently, and I think his mind is always going. He's already thinking about the next album. So I'm looking forward to what he comes up with for that, and also the other members, what their solo albums are going to sound like. And I'm sure they're all going to be really different and all very impressive. But I think J-Hope did everyone proud with this first solo release, and I think everybody is enjoying it and is very impressed by his effort. You can listen to BTS Happy Hour on Samsung Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or visit btshappyhour.com. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Weverse. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.